Hello, Pendle here from Sound Dust, and I'm here to present HOBBES, which I think is the peak, the pinnacle, the apex of sound dustiness. So much so that I'm not really sure what it is. I think it's a sound design, drum stroke rhythm stroke beat mulching device, but I may be wrong. Maybe it's something else. But what I'm going to do is show you around the basics of how it works and what you can do with it, and then later on I'll bring you more videos of the minutiae, the exciting little nooks and crannies that you can get into. Okay, so let's go. So firstly, as you can see from the Kontakt keyboard here, you've got 4 colours, and those are also represented here in the mixer section. And those 4 colours are all different sound sections, starting from noises on the green, acoustic drum kit on the orange, purple electronic drum kit, and black is the bass. So if I quickly go through all the sounds with the sequencers all turned off on the left here, notice that, very important. So noises, real life, hybridized, bastardized drum kit, unreal life, hybridized, bastardized drum kit, and hybridized, bastardized bass sounds, and beyond. That's all the sounds, which in a way, they almost don't matter. I know that's quite a heretical thing to say for a sample developer, but it'll become more obvious why later on when we get into the real mulchiness of it. So you've got those basic sounds, and when you hit a note, it tells you what it is there, tells you what the sound is. There you go, tight snare. Yep, okay. So each sound on every note has its own sequencer, which you switch on by firstly making sure the whole sequence engine is running, and then per note you can just switch off and on the sequencer there. Okay, so we've now got the hybrid acoustic kick sequencer running. Ooh, no sound. What's going on there then? Let's just change the steps. We can do this on every single individual sequencer. We're going down to 8 steps. Let's draw in a note. There you go. That's velocity, quiet, loud. Length. You can select the length of the actual note. These are all separate for every single sequence. So we'll put latch on so I've got more fingers to play with. Okay, so in the length. Okay, there's also choked and unchoked. So each note will cut off the next note. There's also a controlled scale or fixed velocity, so it depends on how hard you hit the note. When it's on scale, fixed, it plays the exact velocity shown here. Now look, here's the good stuff. The little white dots aren't just there for show. They are note subdivisions, so you can actually drag them along the timeline to move where that note plays within the 9 possible subdivisions. But that's not all. If you drag up, it splits the note, and you can still drag it. So you can decide how many notes each note is split into, or how many subdivisions each note is split into, and from what point it plays them. Now obviously, splitting a 16th into, or an 8th into 9 notes, you're going to get a bit lost. But it's very good for that kind of ratchety, cool shit that the young people used to love about 20 years ago. Don't say that's too sarcastic. But it's a fantastic thing, and I'm pretty sure very rare in a Kontakt sequencer. So you can do that on every single note. You can split, drag, move, to play around with the feel. And this is what it's about. It's all about the feel that you get from these things. Now, if you hit that little red button there, that stops all the sequences that are running if it's still latched. So it's just a quick way of turning everything off. So let's go to a hybrid snare. Length, as we know, long, short. Swing will become relevant once we get some more notes in. But can you see there, we can do that cool shit. Right, so let's put the latch back on. Hit both notes together. Yeah. Now here comes another pro tip. If I hit this little knob there, These controls control every single sequencer, so you can cut the length of everything or extend the length or the swing of everything in one go. Same goes for chaos. Chaos adds obvious kind of minutiae of chaos. Swing, we can get as swing as you want, but it depends on where the notes are in the first place. And we can do the whole rate, all of the rates in one go. So if you really want to slow everything down or speed it up like crazy, find your tempo, you can do that. Turn that off and then they're all separate again. Okay, I think that's quite straightforward, isn't it? Right, let's pop over to the green section. Now this is basically an octave of round-robined, deliberately scratchy, noisy, textural, useful background stuff. And then the presets, we can actually load in up to, there's a choice of 200 different presets, which can cover everything. So you can just quickly load in a beat that exists already and get CD scratch to play a samba. Ham radio is recorded directly from these, so this is actual live recordings of ham enthusiasts hamming it up on the radio. And so you get lots of that squirk and burble that you get from kind of radio signals, which I rather like. And these are really good for background texture and also feed the other buttons quite nicely, which we'll find out soon. So let's go to the basses. Now we've got a slight change here in that the sequencers are actually note sequencers. If you turn the sequencer off, hit some keys, it plays in a strange way because it's the different velocities hit different notes. And as soon as you turn the sequencer on, then you can then control what note you play by sequencing it in. So let's go for a quick 8 steps. Let's draw some numbers in. So you can do it by ear. Choose your note. We're in the brutal Moog here, which is a 3 oscillator kind of nasty Moog thing. Moog. And you can just draw in the notes. We've got 2 and a bit octaves available because you couldn't actually fit any more in the size of the sequencer. And if you like a sequence, but you don't like the sound, go to Utilities, click there, go to Copy Sequence, find a sound you like, paste sequence. So now Buzzy is another analog, really kind of gnarly, buzzy synthesizer. I think it was the Moog. Can't remember. Doesn't really matter. And then if you want to copy it over, repeat pattern, saves you trying to draw it in, and then you can make variations. So the utilities area is very handy for quite a lot of things as well. Copy that as well if you want, or let's repeat it. Double it in length again. We've got up to 32 steps. Any more wouldn't fit in. There you go. So you can then edit a whole sequence, find out what fits, what suits. There's just a lot of creative fun to be had from this alone, I found. Because it's just a great way of developing ideas that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Put the latch on to save my fingers. I just hit the wrong green one there. There you go. Got the volume up there as well, so you can actually mix things from the different sections. Turn the whole thing off in one go while it's still running. Turn it back on. Okay, so that's sequencing on a very basic level, but we haven't even covered the magic pixie dust that's available over here. Now, where to begin? Let's start with OOF. This adds, with all of these, they interact across the whole bus, or several buses. So they're interacting, everything's interacting with each other. So different things on different effects will have different effects on different things. That makes a lot of sense. And these are all presets. they kind of generally get a bit harsher or a bit more extreme. But so you can move them, or if you turn on the sequencer, everyone has its own sequencer. Yes, you can sequence the lovely knobs. And you can use the same presets that you would use in the other sequences as well. So let's try the James Brown Cold Sweat Kick to control the oofiness. See where we're coming from? WOOF is an EQ, quite an extreme EQ, quite high resonance. You can control it separately as well, so you've got the presets, but you can also control and automate these things separately, and that will run as normal as long as you don't have the sequencer switched on. Turn the whole effect on and off with the button. Let's draw something in on the sequencer. Let's speed it up and turn it on. Go. Yeah. So it's just WOOF on its own. WOOF and OOF. DOOF isn't doing anything yet because it's turned off. Well, it's not turned off, it's just on 0 preset. Start moving that. We'll get different effects. Now, DOOF is the kind of pièce de résistance. It's dynamic based, but there's also a lot of other stuff going on there. There's doubling and there's a bit of saturation, and it also affects different parts of the bus. So there's different effects going in and out in at different points. So there's the doubling going crazy. So 127 resets, different levels of extremity, and as before, we can sequence the dance. This is why I said that the sounds, although crucial, are merely fodder to be mulched by the special knobs. These knobs are special. And then ebb, different naming strategy, but this is the overall ducking device, I suppose, best way of describing. So that controls the overall volume. So whatever you feed in, you can then automate for a kind of gated ducking effect, whatever you want. I've got presets that you can turn things into different time signatures by doing stuff with them. And as before, oh yes, the pattern converter. So you can load in anything. You can load in a kick pattern, but obviously those are the bits you probably want to emphasize. So if you go to invert pattern, they now, in a very extreme way, are reversing what the kick pattern would be. You can then actually be a bit more forensic and make it a bit more reasonable. So obviously I'm making a right catastrophic mess right now, which possibly isn't showing it off to its greatest extent. But the thing is, you've got this incredible ability to completely mangle and change anything you want, but still keep it vaguely in a place you want it to be. And even ebb on its own can do really great things with quite a straightforward drum beat. This is just 2-3 sounds we've got playing at the moment. Then you've got some more effects which also are different parts of the signal chain. And whenever you see a little red button like that, that's a chaosifier or a randomizer. You're never quite sure what you're going to get, but it's all still being controlled by the ebb control there. This is the only thing after ebb, which is a impulse response reverb with lots of different possibilities, including tune things, which are really quite handy. They come useful. Impulse pre comes somewhere in the middle of the chain. So whatever goes in there you go. Some subs in there. And this is just ebb now. And the impulse. So there's your categories. And then there's over 100 possibilities there. And that's your mix knob. Turn it off, turn that off. So that's just the basic beat now. Pedal, not only makes things louder. And then the white button, that sets things back to a kind of normal way to be. Okay, and then we've got the overall chaosifiers here. Red button chaosifies the on and offiness of lots of stuff. And this is the fun, you're not sure where you're going to go. White turns everything off, and the green one turns everything on. This is why I've spent a lot of time playing with this thing rather than actually releasing it. And just constantly coming with new ways of dealing with it and things that can be done with it. So we turn off all the effects, turn off the sequences, and then over here we've got the mixer panel. Now these are pre-everything. So those are the separate channels with controls that go before. So you can even, that's chaosifying the attack and sustain envelopes, and that in itself is rather useful. These are some mad stuff, completely randoms. Essentially a lo-fi and then kind of tuned resonant filters, put it back to before, and these are low pass and high pass. Useful because by controlling the frequencies going into the main effects bus, it affects the way that things are mulched together. And then this button here shows you, you can toggle around the playing sequences so you can edit them as you're going around. You can also lock it as well. So, presets, gazillions of them, and they all load into anything. So any preset will load into any sound you want it to. Let's just stop that for now. So back to the very beginning, if I just turn the sequences off, I can play it freehand, like a normal drum. That's me playing, not great, finger drums, but you can still have the effects running while you play freehand. So the sequences of the effects will still run while you're playing freehand, which I think is quite special as well. Oof. I think that covers all the bases. I'll be back with more, as I said, kind of finite detail of the great little tricks you can do. And I've also not mentioned the replica delay and the reverb units, which are also mid-effect bus. But hopefully I've shown you how actually quite simple and really creative this thing is to use. It's, you know, I always try and design things that are intuitive. I mean, it's a bit tricky because I spend so long with them, they obviously become quite intuitive to me. But I don't think they're very complicated. Once you can just get your head around the basics, and then you can really have fun and go to town and create just mad rhythmic textures that you will, I hope, enjoy as much as I do. So that's Hobbes by Sound Dust. That's it from me for now. If you've got anything you want to add or ask or whatever, you can put things in the comments and I will get back to you. And I need to do that thing where I say, look, ding the bell or subscribe or whatever it is that you do. That would be great because it makes me look popular, but it also keeps you in the loop, which is useful, although I'm just mainly after the popularity, and so's Percy, who's not here. Anyway, thanks a lot for going this far. There'll be more videos explaining the joy of this device, and I hope you're all well. Take care. Bye-bye.